"You are saying you didn't steal the wallet?" he said sarcastically. "You, a janitor in a luxury store, just happened to be near it when it disappeared." The courtroom was cold. Not just the air, but the looks, the silence, the way everyone stared at her like she didn't belong. Angela stood there, her eyes full of tears, clutching a small brown envelope to her chest. Her hands shook, her lips trembled. She was trying to speak, but her voice kept breaking. Behind the big wooden bench, Judge Ronald Pierce leaned back in his chair with a smirk. He looked down at her like she was a speck of dirt. His black robe hung loose over his wide frame, and his gavel rested near his fingers, like a weapon waiting to be used. "So, you're saying you didn't steal the wallet?" he said sarcastically. "You, a janitor in a luxury store, just happened to be near it when it disappeared." Angela opened her mouth. "Two didn't. I found it on the floor. I was going to—" The judge raised a hand, chuckling. "Of course you were, just like all innocent thieves do." A few people in the courtroom chuckled under their breath. Angela felt like her heart had been slammed against a wall. She wanted to scream, to cry, to explain, but nothing she said seemed to matter. To them, she was already guilty. She looked around, hoping for someone to help her. Her public defender had barely said 2 words. The prosecutor looked bored, and the jury, well, they weren't even in this courtroom yet. This was just a hearing, but it felt like a full-on punishment. Angela took a deep breath. "Please," she said softly, "I'm not lying. I have a witness. I just need a little more time." Judge Pierce laughed again. "You people always have an excuse. Next thing you'll say is, your brother's a lawyer or something." Angela looked down, wiping her tears. She didn't reply. He leaned forward. "Let me make this easy for you, miss. What is it, Angela Brown? I can either lock you up for lying to the court, or you can tell the truth right now, and maybe I'll go easy on you." Angela clenched the envelope tighter in her hands. "I already told the truth." The judge scoffed. "Then prepare for the consequences." And just as he was about to bang the gavel, the courtroom door swung open. The sound echoed like thunder. Everyone turned. A man stepped in, tall and calm, dressed in a sleek black suit. His walk was smooth, powerful. His skin was the same rich tone as Angela's. His eyes were sharp. His voice, when he spoke, silenced the entire room. "I believe you're making a mistake, Your Honor." Judge Pierce blinked. "Excuse me, who are you?" The man walked forward, placing a hand on Angela's shoulder. She looked up and gasped. "Michael." He nodded gently. "I'm Michael Brown, Chief Justice of the Georgia Supreme Court, and this woman is my sister." For a moment, the room went completely silent. Judge Pierce's smirk faded. He blinked, then sat up straighter in his chair. "Chief Justice Brown," he said slowly, as if trying to convince himself it was a mistake. Michael didn't respond right away. He placed a folder on the desk in front of Angela. Then he turned, looking directly at Judge Pierce with calm fire in his eyes. "Yes," he said simply. "Michael D. Brown, appointed by the governor, sworn in 3 years ago, and I'm here to observe the case against my sister, because I heard about the way she's being treated in your courtroom." The audience whispered. The bailiff stood frozen. Even the court clerk stopped typing. Angela's eyes were wide with disbelief. "Michael, how did you—" Michael looked at her gently. "You should have called me sooner." Angela's lips trembled again, but for a different reason, not fear-hope. Judge Pierce cleared his throat. "This is highly irregular," he said, reaching for his gavel. "You can't just walk in here and—" "I can," Michael interrupted, stepping closer, "because this case is no longer just about my sister. It's about judicial misconduct, bias, abuse of power, and I've been watching you, Ronald." The judge's face turned pale. "Excuse me?" Michael took a deep breath and faced the courtroom. "You see, before I came here today, I pulled up 3 years' worth of your court records, dozens of complaints, multiple minority defendants with unusually high sentences, mockery from the bench, dismissal of proper evidence, and now you laugh at a crying woman before a trial even begins." Judge Pierce stood up. "This is outrageous. Bailiff, remove this man." But the bailiff didn't move. Michael slowly pulled out his ID and held it up for everyone to see. "Unless you want to explain to the governor why you threw out a sitting Chief Justice, I suggest you sit down and listen." The judge froze. Angela couldn't believe what she was seeing. Her brother, her quiet, bookish brother, who had once been bullied for wearing hand-me-down shoes now, stood like a giant in this courtroom. Michael turned to her. "Show them what's in the envelope, Angie." With shaky fingers, Angela opened the brown envelope. Inside were 2 things: a receipt from the store proving she was working that day, and a video file from the security camera. The real thief? A well-dressed woman who had quickly dropped the wallet behind a counter right where Angela later found it. Michael looked at the screen behind the judge. "Play it." The clerk hesitated, then did as told. The courtroom watched in silence as the truth played out. The moment the video ended, Judge Pierce sank back in his chair. Angela didn't say a word. Her truth had spoken for her. Michael faced the judge. "Now, do you have anything to say?" The silence in the courtroom was like heavy smokano, one dared to breathe. The video had ended just seconds ago, but its impact was powerful. Everyone had seen it. The expensive purse, the real thief dropping the wallet behind the counter, and Angela finding it minutes later while sweeping the floor. No stealing, no hiding, no lies. Just a hard-working woman, doing her job and being blamed for something she didn't do. Judge Pierce's hands trembled slightly as he adjusted his robe. His lips were tight, his eyes darting around the room. But there was no escape. The truth was out. Angela stood still, as if frozen. All the shame, all the fear, all the pain she had carried for weeks was now hanging over the judge, not her. Michael stepped forward, voice calm but firm. "You were ready to throw her in jail, weren't you? Without a trial, without evidence, just a smirk and a cruel comment." Judge Pierce tried to speak, but the words caught in his throat. Michael raised an eyebrow. "You were going to destroy her life, but not today." Judge Pierce looked at the clerk. "Dismiss the case." The clerk hesitated. "Sir?" "I said dismiss the case," he barked, suddenly angry. Angela looked over at her brother. He nodded. Michael's voice rang out once more. "That's not enough." "What are you talking about?" Judge Pierce snapped. "The case is dismissed. She can go. What else do you want?" Michael took a step forward, eyes like fire. "I want you held accountable. You mocked a crying woman in open court. You judged her by her job, her skin, and her clothes. And this isn't the first time. I've read your record, Ronald." People in the courtroom gasped. Phones were out now recording everything. The entire courtroom was becoming a stage for truth, and Judge Pierce was under the spotlight. Michael continued, "I've already contacted the Judicial Review Board. I'm opening a formal investigation into your conduct. You're done bullying people in this courtroom." The judge's face turned red. "This is outrageous. You're turning this into a circus." "No," Michael said, steady as a stone. "You turned it into a circus when you laughed at a woman's pain." Angela finally found her voice. "You humiliated me," she whispered, tears still falling but stronger now. You didn't even want to hear my story. Michael turned to her softly. You don't have to say anything else. You've already won. The bailiff stepped closer to the judge. Sir, you're being asked to step away from the bench, effective immediately. Judge Pierce stared in disbelief. You can't do this to me. Michael tilted his head. You did it to yourself. Long after the courtroom had cleared out, Angela sat on a bench outside the courthouse, holding a warm cup of coffee in her hands. The sun was setting, casting a soft golden light over the city. For the first time in weeks, she could finally breathe. Michael sat beside her, his suit jacket folded neatly over his lap, his tie loosened. For a while, they just sat there in silence. Then Angela whispered, I didn't know who else to call. I didn't even know if you'd come. Michael turned to her. Of course I would. You're my sister. She looked down, ashamed. I didn't want to bother you. You're so busy, important, and I clean floors. He reached out and gently touched her hand. You think I forgot where we came from? Angela didn't answer. Michael took a breath and looked out at the street. Mom used to say, don't ever let the world decide your worth. Remember that? Angela smiled faintly. She used to say it every morning, right after she reminded us to wash behind our ears. They both chuckled just for a second, and the years melted away. Angela looked at him. How did we end up so far apart, Mike? He thought for a moment. Life pulled us in different directions. After Mom died, I buried myself in books. Law gave me control, purpose. Angela looked away. And I dropped out of college to work. I couldn't afford to keep going. Michael nodded. You carried too much. I should have helped more. Angela shook her head. You helped enough. You made something of yourself. You did what I couldn't. Michael turned to her, his voice soft but serious. Angela, don't ever say that again. You survived. You worked hard. You stood alone in that courtroom with the whole world against you, and you didn't back down. She blinked away fresh tears. You didn't need me to save you, he added. You already saved yourself. I just showed up to finish what you started. Angela smiled, really smiled this time. You still talk like a judge. Michael laughed. And you still roll your eyes the same way you did when we were kids. For the first time in years, the two siblings felt like they were whole again. The distance between them wasn't gone, but it was shrinking. Angela looked at him. So what now? Michael looked toward the courthouse behind them. Now, we make sure that Judge never treats anyone else the way he treated you. Angela's expression grew serious. Will they really investigate him? Michael nodded. They already are. And if I have anything to say about it, he won't wear that robe again. Angela looked at her cup. I want to do something too. I want to speak out. I want to help people like me, who don't have brothers in high places. Michael's smile grew. Then let's do it together. Angela had never seen so many flashing lights in her life. Reporters crowded outside her small apartment building like bees at a hive. News vans lined the sidewalk, microphones stretched toward her. Cameras clicked, voices called her name from every direction. Angela, did you know your brother was coming? Do you feel justice was served today? How do you respond to people calling you a hero? Hero? Angela blinked at the word. Just days ago, she was scrubbing floors and worrying about rent. Now she was on every local news channel and people were calling her brave for simply telling the truth. She didn't feel brave. She felt overwhelmed. Michael stood beside her, calm and collected, guiding her gently through the crowd. He leaned down and whispered, "You don't have to speak to anyone, unless you want to." Angela nodded, then stepped forward. Her voice was soft, but steady. "I just want to say, I didn't come looking for attention. I only wanted to be heard. I was judged before I had a chance to speak, and I know I'm not the only one this has happened to." The crowd leaned in. Angela continued, "But I also know this: when people stand together, when the truth comes out, things can change. I want to help make that change." Applause broke out from a few neighbors standing nearby. A little girl waved to Angela from the steps. A man called out, "We're proud of you." Angela smiled until her eyes caught something across the street. A black car, parked, windows tinted. A man inside, watching, but not smiling. Her expression froze for a second. Michael noticed. "You okay?" Angela nodded quickly. "Yeah, just tired." But something inside her shifted. Something cold. That car wasn't there yesterday. Later that night, Angela sat on the edge of her bed, staring at her phone. She had dozens of messages, some kind, some hateful. One even said, "You think you're a queen now? Be careful. People fall hard." She showed the message to Michael. He frowned. "We're getting you security, starting now." Angela sighed. "I didn't ask for any of this." "I know," Michael said, "but you stood up. Now you're visible, and when you shine a light on injustice, some people want to shut it off." Angela looked up. "Then let them try." Michael smiled slowly. "That's the sister I remember." Angela sat nervously backstage at the city's largest civic auditorium. The Justice for All Reform Summit was happening live, and she was the keynote speaker. Just a few weeks ago, she was invisible. Now, her name was on the banners. Her story had gone viral. People were calling her the face of ordinary courage. Michael straightened her collar. "You look powerful." Angela smirked. "I feel like I'm going to throw up." "You'll be great," he said softly. "Just speak from the heart. That's what got you here." She nodded, breathing deep. But just as she was about to walk out onto the stage, Michael's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and froze. Angela noticed his face. "What? What happened?" Michael looked up slowly. "You're not going to believe this." He turned the phone toward her. On the screen was a headline from an investigative journalist. "Judge Pierce linked to decade. Old case involving false imprisonment of minority teen." Angela's eyes widened. "What?" Michael scrolled quickly. "It's not just you. 10 years ago, he oversaw a case where a 17-year-old black boy was accused of stealing a bike. The evidence was shaky, but Pierce pushed for the maximum sentence anyway. The boy spent 4 years in juvenile detention before being proven innocent." Angela whispered, "He did it before, and got away with it." Michael nodded. "But not this time. This article has records, transcripts, statements. It's blowing up." Angela clenched her fists. "How many lives has he damaged?" Before Michael could answer, the event host peeked in. "Angela, you're up." Angela hesitated. Then she stood tall. She stepped onto the stage, lights blinding her, the crowd rising to their feet with applause. She took the mic, her voice steady and bold. "My name is Angela Brown. I was once just a janitor with a mop and a dream of peace. I never thought I'd be standing here. But when someone in power laughed at my pain, I knew I had to speak." The crowd was silent, hanging on her every word. "I'm not just here because of what happened to me. I'm here because too many others never got their moment. Some are still waiting for justice, some never got it, and some can't speak anymore." Angela paused. "I promise you this. Judge Pierce's courtroom won't be the last place where truth breaks through. This is just the beginning." Thunderous applause erupted. But as Angela walked off stage, Another text arrived on Michael's phone. He frowned. Angela noticed. Now what? Michael read the message out loud. Judge Pierce has gone silent. He hasn't been seen since yesterday. No one knows where he is. Angela's smile faded. Something wasn't right. For 2 whole days, Judge Ronald Pierce was missing. No one had seen him. His phone was off. His house was empty. Some said he ran. Others said he was hiding. A few whispered that he was being protected by powerful people who didn't want the truth to spread any further. Angela tried to stay calm, but the fear in her gut was real. Her apartment now had police patrols. Michael had hired private security. Even with all that, she couldn't sleep. Every night she thought about the people Pierce might have hurt before her. How many lives, how many tears, how many dreams crushed. But she didn't let that fear stop her. Instead, she kept going. Interview after interview, speech after speech. She talked not just about herself, but about the systems that allowed judges like Pierce to stay in power for so long. Then one evening, just as the sun was setting and Angela returned home from a school talk, she saw the letter. No envelope, just a folded paper, slid under her door. She picked it up with shaking fingers. It was handwritten. You win. I was wrong. But so were they, the ones who taught me to see people like you as less than me. I ruined lives. I know it now. I'm not asking for forgiveness, just don't stop. Angela sat down slowly. The page trembled in her hands. He's not hiding, she whispered. He's running from himself. Michael read the letter beside her and placed a hand on her shoulder. This isn't over, but it's the start of something. Angela nodded. Then let's keep going. Months passed. Judge Pierce was officially removed from the bench and barred from practicing law ever again. A state investigation into wrongful convictions had begun. Several of his past rulings were being reviewed. Angela started a non-profit organization called The Quiet Voices, aimed at helping people speak up when they've been mistreated by the justice system. She visited schools, spoke on panels, and became a quiet symbol of what courage really looked like. She never changed her style. She never wore a fancy suit. She still rode the bus sometimes and brought coffee to the janitors she used to work with, because she hadn't forgotten who she was. She was Angela Brown, the woman a judge once laughed at, the woman who made the whole courtroom stand and listen. If this story touched your heart, don't scroll away just yet. Angela was just a regular woman, a janitor, a sister, a mother. But when a powerful judge laughed at her pain, she didn't run. She stood up, and the world heard her. What would you do if no one believed your voice mattered? Drop a comment below. We want to hear your story. And if you believe that no one should be judged by the color of their skin, their job, or how they look, hit that like button and mash subscribe button for more powerful true life stories.